Hey Giants fans, welcome back to Giants Latest. Hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all things Giants. It's Friday. We are 48 hours away from Giants football or so. They take on the Cowboys, and I've got a bad feeling about Andrew Thomas yet again. So we're waiting for the final report to come out on the injuries, which is usually not till Friday afternoon or later. And here's what happened on Thursday. So the injury report looks like this. Micah McFadden was listed as did not practice. Now, they finally moved him to IR in a corresponding roster move, which we're going to talk about in a second. But obviously, McFadden was going to IR, so I don't know why they waited to do that, but whatever. He had surgery. He's out for probably a while, potentially the whole season, but no update there yet. Inside linebacker Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who plays special teams and some defensive snaps, was also did not practice with a calf injury. Now, he had a calf injury over the summer, and supposedly he re-aggravated it, which is why he did not practice on Thursday. So it's not looking good for him to play on Sunday. And the problem with that is that now, with him out and Micah McFadden, the Giants have three linebackers. Bobby O, who missed 16 tackles against the Commanders. Darius Muasau, who's in his second year, a sixth-round pick, was not great on Sunday. He got better as the day went on, but still, he's not a starter for a reason. And then number 3 is Chris Board, who is mostly used as a special teamer, but is a good tackler. So that's what we're looking at for linebackers on Sunday. So I'm going to leave it at that. Next up, a couple players who were limited in practice today. Wan'Dale Robinson, Andrew Thomas, Nacho, and Darius Slayton. Now, Slayton has a groin, Nacho has a foot, Thomas is the foot, and then Wan'Dale has an ankle. Now, Brian Zabel before practice also said that those three guys are basically going to be fine. The exception to that is, of course, Andrew Thomas. So let's talk about him for a second, because the Giants only have one padded practice a week now that we're in the season. And I'm still trying to figure out if this is the norm across the board or it's just the Giants because it's a country club. So not sure on that. I don't know if it's league mandated. Either way, whether it's not, they have one padded practice a week on Wednesday. Andrew Thomas participated in that in last week before the Commanders game. This week, he did not. But according to Table, it's all part of the plan, okay? That's why he's not participating in the padded practices. But don't worry, he's going to be in the walkthrough practices on Thursday and Friday, because obviously those are more important before you're going to play football on Sunday for the first time in almost a year. So how that works in the Giants building, I do not know. But I don't think Andrew Thomas is playing on Sunday. And another concern that I have for this, outside from the fact that I think this is going to go on longer than we all expected it to, and I don't know if people in the building know something different or if they're just completely clueless when it comes to injuries and didn't know that he wasn't going to be ready to go just yet. But Dexter Lawrence, who was injured last year, coming back from an injury this whole summer, was on a plan. Pitch count this and practice this, and we have a specific plan for Dexter Lawrence and these guys that are coming back from injury. Okay. Dexter Lawrence, who is deemed healthy and ready to go, did not play the full amount of snaps on Sunday. Now, none of the players played 100% of the snaps on defense, which is what it is. But Dexter Lawrence, who's your best football player, was essentially on a pitch count his first week back, which leads me back to Andrew Thomas. Because if Andrew Thomas is coming back from injury, and let's say he passes all of their tests and he's ready to go on Sunday, does anyone think that we're going to see Andrew Thomas 100% of the snaps? Because I certainly don't think so. If they're not going to do that with Dexter Lawrence, who is so obviously the best football player on this entire 53-man roster, then why would they do that with Andrew Thomas? So now I'm like, okay, well, even if we get Andrew Thomas, it's going to be a not complete version of Andrew Thomas because he's not going to be out there for every snap. And then we're talking about the continuity factor and like, is he even going to look like the Andrew Thomas that he was when we all, want him on the field? Dexter Lawrence didn't look like Dexter Lawrence when he played on Sunday. So I am really beat down about the Andrew Thomas situation. I don't feel good about it. I don't think he's going to play on Sunday. I think even if he plays, he's not going to get a ton of snaps. And when he does get snaps, I don't even know what he's going to look like because he wasn't in the one padded practice. He's barely been in team drills. So now we're talking about him maybe playing in week 3. And then it goes back to the pup situation because I don't even think if he wasn't in the padded practice this week, you think he's going to be ready to go next Sunday? I don't buy it. And I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. but I have no faith that we are seeing Andrew Thomas anytime soon. So that sucks. It's a really unfortunate. But we have a little bit of good news on the injury report. It's not all doom and gloom, just most of it. Malik Neighbors is fine. He was a full go at practice on Thursday. He's going to be ready to go for Sunday. Whether you're watching for fantasy purposes or you're a Giants fan, Malik Neighbors is going to be good to go on Sunday. And that's extremely, extremely important when we talk about the Cowboys injury. But first, I want to talk about a roster move that the Giants made, because again, I understand that they have their own process of doing things, but it's so obvious to the outside that it sounds like they don't really have a great idea of what they're doing. Let me explain. We've seen them make a bunch of bizarre moves before. This falls as a big one, okay? They had Amir Smith-Marset, who they re-signed to his second year with the Giants this summer. He was getting most, if not all, of the kick and punt return reps throughout the summer. Then Gunner is healthy, so they sign him back. And then Gunner gets the 53-man roster spot. Gunner is the kickoff punt returner. He did it last week. They also added Wan'Dale Robinson into the mix. God only knows why. And then today, or Thursday, they signed the kick returner and punt returner from the Jets, Xavier Gipson, who, get this, got released from the Jets because he fumbled the ball. And Aaron Glenn said in his press conference, "We can't afford to have people on this roster who turn the ball over." Don't worry, come on over to the Giants. We don't care. You can turn the ball over. You could be Devin Singletary. You could be Tyrone Tracy, who do it in the red zone, and it's fine. You're still going to be a starter. You're still going to get reps. It's not a problem. And yet we have Amir Smith-Marset, who's explosive, who returned not one, but 2 returns for touchdowns last year during the regular season when it counts. But instead of using him, no. Why would we ever do that? We're going to sign someone who just fumbled last week and was the reason he got cut from the team. Okay, make it make sense. I can't. Maybe you guys can. Enlighten me. Next up, so going back to Malik Neighbors, of course, we're all thrilled. Malik is healthy, ready to go. Amazing news. In other potential good news, now I say potential because I don't trust the Giants on offense at all at this point, but the Cowboys lost their star cornerback, Deron Bland. He's dealing with a foot injury, and he's likely to be out for quite a while. Now, this is a nickel corner who was an all-pro in 2023. Since then, he's dealt with some injuries, but he is a damn good football player, and the fact that he is not playing on Sunday is huge. Now, we still have to deal with Trayvon Diggs, because of course we have to deal with him. The good news is, oh God, I'm afraid to say this out loud. We do not have Daniel Jones, who is the guy that Diggs was making fun of for being able to read the routes and see exactly what he was going to do. So Russell, please don't do that. I'm begging you, please save us from something. So anyway, now he does mostly play nickel, which is going to be good for someone like Wan'Dale Robinson. But now if I were the coaching staff, okay, and I knew this, I would be rotating slot position, and I would be putting my boy Malik Neighbors in there. Let him get some snaps in the slot. You know what I would else do is put Jalen Hyatt in there, because if there's one thing that Jalen Hyatt has, it's speed. Now, doesn't have the best hands, fine, but I feel relatively confident that he could probably catch a 3-yard pass, right? Quick little slant, little screen pass, give it to him or Malik Neighbors and let them take it and run, okay? Wan'Dale is fine. He's good in the slot, but he's on the shorter side. He has smaller arms, and he doesn't have the speed that those two guys have. So if you want to take advantage of the fact that the Cowboys are missing first Micah Parsons and now Deron Bland, one of their best corners, please take advantage of that. Do something smart, okay? So that's going to be one of my keys to win. Let's talk about that. How do the Giants beat the Cowboys? There's a lot of things that they have to do. Let's start with what I just said. Utilize the players that have speed, because if you're having issues with the offensive line still and you're having issues with the run game, then use the fact that you've got players who are speedy and dump the ball off to them, or give them an end around, or give them something. Statue of Liberty, I do not care. Okay, you want to get creative? Great. Do something like that. Do not involve our rookie offensive linemen in the goddamn red zone. Okay? This is a different way to be creative. It could still work. When you have speed on the offense, utilize it. That's what I would like to see them do. Also, the offensive line, for the love of God, get your shit together, okay? There's no Micah Parsons on the field. Now, it doesn't matter for the Cowboys because last week they were able to pressure the Eagles with no problem and put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts. So I need the offensive line to step up, okay? You can't be bad at everything this week. Pick one thing, and then the other two things, be good at, okay? So if you're going to get penalties or you can't run block or you can't pass block, it's unacceptable for you to go 0 for 3 on those things, okay? So just step it up. And I expect that, okay? We're talking about continuity at this point. They got first week jitters, stress, whatever it is, they got it out of their system, okay? Move on. It's week 2. You're going to be in a hostile environment with a good team, with a good quarterback, and with a better defense than anyone expected to be after week 1. So figure it out and get it together, okay? Russell, keep your eyes down the field. Don't stare down your targets, please. The thing with Russ is that he probably is going to take sacks that he shouldn't take. Last week it was only 2. If we can keep it to 2, we might survive, okay? If some other things go well, we could survive that. But I need him to continue to make smart decisions with the ball, be a little bit more accurate, okay? You can't keep throwing Malik Neighbors 10-yard passes over his head. He's an acrobat, but it's not on stilts, okay? So accuracy, smart decisions with the football, keep your eyes downfield. What I want to see from Russell. I want to see a lot more Scataboo. I love Tyrone Tracy. This is not a knock on Tyrone Tracy, but we saw from Scat, he won angry runs. He is a beast out there. It's going to take multiple guys to get him to the ground. At least use him in the red zone, okay? Like, switch it up here, okay? Tracy had, I think, 80% of the snaps for the running backs last week. Divvy it up a little bit more, okay? A little more Scat this week, please. And I'd like to see Darius Slayton get more involved, but ultimately, I don't think we're going to see that unless the offensive line get pass blocked. So moving along to the defense. I'm very, very concerned about the run defense more than anything at this point because obviously 16 missed tackles from one player last week who's supposed to be our better linebacker, and then you lost Micah McFadden. So I need Darius Muasau. You have to step it up this week, buddy. Please, please, please. I hope that he had a good week. He looked better towards the end of the game. I think he was kind of thrown into the fire last week, and it was probably a little confusing. He looked a little confused on some snaps. But week 2, knowing you're the full-time guy, please, for the love of God, step it up. If not, Chris Board's a veteran. Get him some snaps in there. I want to see Dexter Lawrence involved a hell of a lot more. Dexter Lawrence is your best player. He better be playing 95% of the snaps. I am done with this bullshit from Brian Dable of that they're keeping them fresh and they're on a plan due back from injury. Keeping them fresh for what? At this rate, you're not even going to win 7 games. Keeping them fresh? You don't have a future here, my guy. If you don't win football games, what the hell are you talking about? What does that mean? You have to win now. The only thing that matters, like he says every time, it's a week-to-week league. We're focused on this week. Then focus on this week and give your best players the most amount of snaps. That includes you, Shane Bowen. Get Abdul Carter on that goddamn field as much as you can. Rotate him with Kayvon. Use him as a linebacker if you need help tackling. Use him as a spy. I don't care. Get him on the field for 80% of the snaps. Figure it out. You're the defensive coordinator. This is your job. To figure out how to get your best 11 guys on the field. And that means 90% of the time, not 40% of the time. Okay? He can handle it. And then lastly, the cornerbacks. I'm a little worried about them too. Biggest concern, run defense. Corners are up next. Now, again, Shane Bowen. I know that Tay Banks is better as a press man corner. That's why Wink loved him. That's why he did well in Wink's system. You are supposed to put your players in a position to succeed. We saw more of Banks on third down when he was used in man coverage. Great. Maybe expand that. If you're a little worried about Cordell Flott on first and second down, I will say Flott was not nearly as bad as I expected, which This is what we're working with these days. Low expectations. Just then maybe give them a little bit more of a rotation. Okay. I want Flott to step it up week 2, but we are talking about players like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and we all know that Ferguson is going to have 100 targets this game because the Giants can't cover the tight end. I need Paulson Adebo did a great job last week with Terry McLaurin. I need him to continue that. Maybe take it up a notch. Same thing with Flott and Banks. Whenever you get in the game, Banks, if it's you on third down, if it's Flott on first and second, you guys have to make plays. You have to make plays or this game is going to be over, and it's going to be over very quickly. So I know it's more on the offense. It is, but we have to have a balanced approach, okay? You can't give up the second and longs. You cannot do that over and over again. So I want to see Bowen, less zone coverage, more man. Maybe that means we see a little bit more Banks. I have faith in Drew Phillips covering CeeDee Lamb, but we all know that CeeDee Lamb, those 4 drops that happened last week, they're not going to happen this week because that's the Giants' luck. So Drew Phillips, pass breakup, maybe. Would like that. If not, just be on him. Be on him like a magnet and get him to the ground as soon as he catches the ball, okay? Tight coverage. That's what I want to see from these players, which goes back to you, Shane Bowen. Less zone defense, please, okay? And then the final thing is Jamie Gillen. You are called the Scottish Hammer for a reason. Boom that goddamn ball. We cannot afford to have special teams having 30 and 40-yard punts, okay? This team already cannot do anything well, so please help us. Work, again, continuity, work together. Complementary football, okay? I hope that was the theme in practice this week. Go Giants. I hope when we're back on Monday, we're talking about a win, but we'll see you then.